This is part 2 of 5.3 today, or right now we're going to go ahead and work with using proportions to find area. Earlier we worked with using proportions to find missing side lengths. So we're going to still use those same concepts, only this time they're going to give us an area and ask of one of the figures and ask us to find the ratio of the area of the other figure. So here we have a swimming pool and a volleyball court that are similar, so that means they're proportional to each other. And they want us to find the area of the swimming pool with the given area of the volleyball court being 200 yards squared. So the key thing that we have to remember is anytime we're going to be working with solving for an area, we have to make sure that we remember, just like we did in section 2, to square our ratio. Okay, so here we have a ratio of the volleyball court was 10 yards on one side and the swimming pool was 18 yards. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and choose to reduce that down. If you wanted to work with these in their larger format, you will still get the same answer. But I'm going to go ahead and change them. So here, if I reduce this down, 2 would go into each of these two numbers. So this would become 5/9. Okay, so now I have to remember, because I'm working with area, I need to go ahead and square these. So I'm going to square this ratio, which gives me 25 over 81. And now I'm going to go ahead and plug this into the second set. So here you're doing your sides versus your areas. So my area of 200 yards squared was my smaller figure. So my smaller number was the 25. So I'm going to put 200 here. And now I'm going to go ahead and cross multiply and divide just like I did in the earlier part of this lesson. So 200 times 81. And now I'll go ahead and divide that by 25. And when I do that, I get 48. Okay, so this is 648 yards squared for an area. So still using those same concepts, it's just that now they're going to ask us to go ahead and continue on with stuff that we learned back in section 2 and tie that in together with solving for a missing part. Okay, so let's go ahead and try another one of those. So here we have the area of a rectangle, of rectangle B is 75 square centimeters. So I'm going to go ahead and write that. I've got it right here. And they want us to find the area of a rectangle A. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and set this up as my rectangle A over rectangle B. If you want to set it up using working with your area versus your side lengths within one. The problem with that is you have to make sure that you square each of your numbers. So if you're comfortable squaring them without seeing them set up, you can do that. Okay, so here I'm going to go ahead and do my 3 over 5. Now I have to remember the new concept is I have to remember to square this. And you guys have done that. You did that back in section 2. But in order to set up my proportion, I have to have these squared. So it becomes 9 over 25. And then my other piece of information was my area of B, which I had as my bottom number, is 75. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and cross multiply divide. So 75 times 9, divide that by 25, gives me 27. So my area of this one is 27 centimeters squared. Okay, what I was saying earlier is if you wanted to do your first ratio as A's and your second ratio as B's, you could set that up, but you have to remember to go ahead and square each of these as you're setting that up. This is just the format that you worked with it in section 2. So I was just continuing with that format, and I'll show you here that it will work to do that. I could do my A rectangle versus my B, and then this would be my side lengths over my area. Okay, so A, I would have to remember to square my side, which would give me 9. My area, that's what I don't know. For B, my side length squared was 25, and my area was 75. You'll take note that you're still multiplying the 9 times 75, just like you did down here, and then dividing by 25. You have to decide what you're comfortable with. The key thing working proportions is that you are matching. So if you choose to match levels like top versus bottom, that's okay. If you choose to match within a single ratio, that's also okay. But making sure that you're matching and identifying the location that you need to put each of those pieces. All right, so I want you guys to go ahead and try this one. So it says the area of the shaded triangle is 36 meters squared. So this one is 36 meters squared for the area. Okay, they want us to go ahead and find the area of the non-shaded triangle. So remember, as you set this up, I would recommend reducing your ratio and then squaring, just because you'll be able to work with numbers that are smaller. So go ahead and set this up, work your way through and solve for area. Okay, you should have ended up with 64 meters squared. So here I went ahead and wrote out my ratio, smaller over larger. I reduced that down to 3/4. Then I squared it, just so I didn't have to work with such large numbers. Then I set up and made sure that my area of my shaded was my smaller figure, so that went up on the top, cross multiply divide. Okay, that's pretty much it for this part. I just forgot to go to this slide, so that's why it's a second piece. Good luck with this section.